Hey y'all, so I'm sure you guys have been seeing this theme of these videos about becoming that girl. Well, today I'm going to tell you about some of the things that a woman actually needs to thrive in life so you can really truly become you as that girl. If you are as excited about this video as I am, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell right now. So I'm Sabine, and if you are new to this channel, I talk about how to have an abundant life with God and how to go after all of the things that He has for you. So if you're interested in those topics, bettering yourself, having a closer connection with God, you're going to want to go ahead and hit that notification bell and subscribe button so you can find out every time I post a new video. So today we're going to be talking about the things that a woman needs to truly thrive. And I know that you guys are going to be so blessed by this video because this is all God and not me. I'm just the messenger here. When I tell you He downloaded this whole video for me, mwah, you're going to love it. So we're going to jump right into what are the things that a woman needs to truly thrive. So the first thing that I kind of want to explain to you guys is that we're going to use this analogy of a woman being somewhat like a garden, right? Because a woman is like a garden. So basically, when I say this, I mean that imagine that the life of this woman is something that you want it to be lush, you want it to be green, you want it to be producing a harvest. Each garden is a little bit different, but the main concept is that we're comparing ourselves to a garden and figuring out what exactly does this garden need to grow. So talking about some of these universal needs of each woman, right? When you think about a garden, every garden needs water, right? In order for things to grow, there must be water somewhere. And humans are just like that, right? We can't go a day without our water, right? So what is this proverbial water in the life of a woman, you ask? And it is to have a relationship with God, right? To be in relationship with our Creator. And some of you may be surprised, you might even be thinking, there's people that you know who they look like they're doing great and they don't ever talk to God. They don't ever talk about God. But I'm going to give you an analogy to explain this a little bit further. So I want you to first imagine a lush, tropical jungle environment. It is overflowing. It is green. There are all sorts of flowers and fruits and vegetables growing from the treetops. There are animals perched in the branches. There's a stream. This is a thriving ecosystem. I want you to also imagine an environment where it's dry, it's uninhabitable, there's no sign of water visibly for miles. The only little things that you see are a few little sprigs poking up out of the ground, a few little lizards, some scorpions, but no human life, and it's just not a very desirable place to be, right? So this analogy, the first lush, plush garden, if you will, is a woman who is in relationship with God, right? She's walking with God. He's providing her every need. He makes her like she has a stream of living water flowing through her, right? And the bounty of her life, the overflow of her life is able to feed and provide for all of the people who are even connected to her, her neighbors, her friends, her co-workers. They all can feel, right, her relationship and benefit from her relationship with Him, right? She's better because of it. The arid environment is somebody who does not have any relationship with Him at all, right? And like I said, things are dry. There's not as much going on there. The only reason we're able to see any little forms of life at all are because though the water is not visible, right, their water is running somewhere deep underground, so it's there providing for her, it's there sustaining her life, even though she's not cognizant of it, she's not aware of it. But just think about how different her life would be if she were to bring that water to the surface, if that water were to affect and touch all of the areas of her life in an active way, right? So that's the difference, and that's why it is so important for you, if you don't already, to start in this journey with having a relationship with Him. And if you do kind of know Him, to how can you bring Him more to the surface, right? And allow Him to touch all the areas of your life and make them green. You get to decide, which environment would you rather be like? Would you rather be the lush, green, flowing, tropical garden that provides and is always provided for, or the other option, And it's not as difficult as you think. You might be thinking like, oh, how am I going to get into this thriving place? But it's not that difficult, because you have to understand that prayer is just conversation with God, right? Being in relationship with God is just conversation with him. It starts that way, right? It's gonna grow, but it's as simple as just like starting where you are and opening up and having a conversation with him about how you feel. It can even be about how you don't know what to talk about, and you can talk to him about that. I also have another video that I would love for you to watch if you do not have a relationship with him, and I'm gonna link it right here, but it's called What Does It Mean to Be Saved? And it kind of talks about the fundamentals of like starting a relationship with God and the most important part. So as soon as you finish this video, I want you to go to that. And then on the flip side, if you do already have a relationship with him, then I'm also going to leave some like reflection questions for you in the description about how you could take it to the next level, right? So how you can move in that direction of that green garden. So that is number one, water, period. You cannot go without water. A woman to thrive needs to have a relationship with her creator. So on that note, I am curious how many of you guys who found this video or are watching this video identify yourself as believers, identify as having a relationship with God and with Jesus, and how many of you maybe are like somewhere else on the journey, or not on the journey at all, and you just stumbled across this video. So please, please, please leave me a comment and let me know just how you identify. That will also help me to like know my audience a little bit more and get to know you guys, and like, you know, how to interact with you guys as best as possible. So let me know in the comments. So now we're going to talk about the sun, right? Because every garden has water and it also has sun, and those two things combine to make things grow. So if God is the water, is the supernatural element, then the sun, when I refer to the sun, I mean the earthly things, the natural things that we can do, and the things we can really control and bring a part of our life. So we're going to jump into those next. Okay, so the first element that I know will cause you to thrive, ladies, is exercising, but specifically exercising outdoors, right? Getting a little bit of sun. And I have actually tested this myself, you know, growing up as like a New Yorker. I grew up in the city, you know, lots of snowy days and exercising in the gym, versus now that I've been living in California and COVID happened, I don't even use my gym membership. I just started going to the park. And I know for a fact that this has changed so many things, right? So I read an article, and these are some of the benefits that it says are associated with outdoor activity. Increased physical fitness, raised levels of vitamin D, improved distance vision, reduces ADHD symptoms, reduced blood sugar, blood pressure, and cortisol, which is the stress hormone, speed the health recovery process, and lower the risk of cancer. All of this is just from exercising outside. People who choose to exercise in woodland or park areas compared to those who chose the gym had a 50% greater effect on their positive mental health. So how powerful is that? Not only are you taking care of your body, right? Getting like blood pumping, all that stuff, exercising, challenging yourself, but it really has a huge effect on your mental health. The point is, you need to move your body, and it's even better if you can move your body outside. Point number 2. You need to eat healthy, nourishing foods. Now, some of y'all feel convicted already because, you know, we talk about this all the time. We've been hearing about being healthy since we were like kids, but how much would you rate yourself as far as making that a priority in your life? And I ask this because as I've been getting older and just learning more about health, as well as feeling the effects of what I eat on my body, I'm learning, it's like a whole new world has been opened up for me. Like one of the areas in particular that I've been interested in is what's called the microbiome, which is kind of like the collection of the millions and billions and trillions or whatever of bacteria that exist in your gut, and the relationship between those and your brain, which I'd never heard of, but there's research suggesting that your microbiome can affect things like anxiety, depression, and just overall mental health. So that's something that's really important to learn and understand. There's also the topic that I've never in school, like never heard about this or learned about this, but inflammation. Like what kind of foods, oils, you know, drinks, additives that in our foods contribute to inflammation in the body. Because the thing about inflammation is that It's linked to things like depression, anxiety, heart disease, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, gastrointestinal complications, and bowel diseases, and cancer, to name a few. So you need to become a student of your own body, because one person's healthy is not everybody else's healthy. Like nowadays, everybody publicizes their food journey and their weight loss journey. So-and-so may be a vegan, but so-and-so may need to eat meat. And the only way you're going to learn which one is suitable for you is by doing research, by doing tests, by talking to your doctor, but by also being your own doctor, right? Being a steward of the body that God gave you. So this is super important. You need to start allocating time in your schedule during the week for you to plan your meals, for you to actually prepare your meals, right? And it might not be, I know not everybody likes doing meal prep, and I don't like that. Like, I don't want to make food for 5 days. The thought of that kind of grosses me out. Like, I want to eat leftovers maybe from one day, but I don't want to eat the same thing like 3 or 4 times, right? But I can, you know, cut up some onions or cut up some peppers or cut up some ingredients that I'm going to use to prepare different meals. And I can plan, you know, on this day I'm going to eat out, but on these days I'm going to eat at home, and you know, that kind of stuff. So you need to, like, somebody who is thriving, she prioritizes the food that goes into her mouth, right? She prioritizes everything pertaining to her body, because this is where you live and it's where you're going to be living for the rest of your life. So that is super important. Learn about your body, read books about health, read books about, like I said, your gut, your mind, everything related to the body. Also budgeting for these things too. Like now my budget is allocated where I'm spending all this money at Whole Foods. Like, forget everything else I was planning to do. I need to make sure that my food budget is set up correctly, okay? So take that into account and start planning for you to thrive, because what you feed yourself is what's going to give you energy to do the things you need to do. So what's going to help you to look the way that you desire to look, right? And not just weight-wise, but even just having, you know, bright eyes and shiny hair and strong nails. Like, these are things that come from what you eat. So this is like super important. Quick side note, now if you're somebody who feels like you lack self-control, because I've been there before too, where I would want to do better, but I honestly was either like hooked, like my body was hooked on eating carbs and sugar or coffee or other addictive foods, or I honestly just, like I said, wanted to do better, but didn't even have the mental desire to like go there. Like I said I wanted it, but I didn't have the strength. So if that happens to be you, I really want to encourage you around fasting. And I'm not talking about intermittent fasting that people do to like lose weight. I'm talking about fasting in the spirit. And if you don't know much about that, just to give you a short like rundown, it's basically when you abstain from eating food like altogether, or certain types of foods, right? Like you might restrict, I'm not having any pastas, or I'm not having X, Y, Z, and J, like for this whole week, or for certain hours of the day, so that you can build discipline and so that you can have control over your fleshly desires. And this is something that has like basically changed my life. I absolutely love fasting. I don't do it all the time, but I do it a lot of times when I'm seeking growth in a certain area, or I need like a breakthrough in a certain area, or just when I just feel like I'm getting out of control with my eating habits and I need to remember that I'm eating to fuel this temple that God gave me and not to be a ravenous beast. So I really encourage you around fasting. And if that's something that you'd like to learn more about, let me know in the comments, and I'd love to like do a more detailed video about it. Okay, so now the third one. Now we're getting into the really fun ones. The first ones were kind of like the toughies, but this is really fun. So the third one is that you need to carve out time for me time and self-care. And I separated those two because I want you to know and understand that like me time is kind of more of like the general overarching, and self-care is just a facet of that, right? Me time can literally mean just any little piece of time that you've reserved for yourself without distraction from others, where you're choosing what you want to do in that moment and you're going to enjoy yourself. So at times, me time can be you're sitting on this couch with this remote in your hand, watching a little bit of TV for your 30 minutes or your hour while your kids need to leave you alone. Me time can also be sitting in your car before you walk into the house because you need that breather. Or me time can be going to get a pedicure. Me time can be sitting with your coffee or whatever. Like, you need to designate me time, because you shouldn't really feel guilty about taking this time for yourself. And in fact, when you do it, It allows you to like recharge and then be able to bring your full self to other areas of your life. Now I want to speak specifically to self-care because this is like the creme de la creme of the me time. This can take different forms, right? Depending on what you have time to do and what stage of life you're in and what you like. You know, not everybody likes all of this lavish, like laying in the tub and painting your toenails stuff. For you, self-care could be, you know, just taking care of your skin, like spending 5 minutes a night on your skincare routine. Make sure that you also have in your me time, you know, some of that can be toward taking care of your body, because there's something almost like ritualistic about like charging yourself as a, in your like, I am woman, hear me roar, when you take care of yourself, as far as like making yourself feel like you look a little bit better, and that allows you to like project your best self when you actually are dealing with people in the world. So carve out specific time for me time and self-care. Listen, y'all will be hard pressed to get me out of the house for anything last minute. Why? What am I doing? Honey, I'm doing me. Like, it doesn't even matter what I'm doing because I already designated that this was my me time. So it's like, I don't really want to give up on me to just, you know, go do whatever y'all doing. So I hope that y'all get to that place too. Do you, boo? The next one that I want to talk about is healthy relationships. And I know some of you are going to be like, duh, like everybody knows the need to have healthy relationships. But this is the thing. This is an area where people are more likely to say it but not actually practice it. So what do I mean when I'm talking about healthy relationships? It's more of doing an evaluation of your circle, right? This might be a periodic evaluation, or it might be an ongoing like consciousness and evaluation of your circle. And I mean that in the sense of thinking about your friends who's in your life, thinking about your partner that's in your life, your familiar relationships. Person who is thriving, a woman who is thriving, she's very much aware of her relationship to others in her life and how she gives her time to these people, what other resources of hers, her attention, her energy that she gives to these people, and whether it's draining or whether it's adding to her. And sometimes giving is okay. It's not to say that everyone's going to give back to you in the same way that you give to them. For example, a parent-child relationship, or you taking care of an elderly person or your parent, right? It's not always that things are going to be 50-50. Sometimes it is you overextending yourself because you feel good about that, right? Like, for example, volunteering. Some people love to volunteer, and it really gives back to them, and it makes them feel something almost priceless, even though they're giving of their time and they're giving of their resources. So constantly be in reflection about this, or set aside time, maybe like once a month, where you take inventory of your relationships and you think about how you could improve them, or improve your own performance and or not performance, but rather your own efforts that you're bringing forth, as well as what you want to get out of them. So now there's another area that I want us to talk about, and this one is another fun one. But this area is what I would call pestilences. And pestilences are the things that you have to watch out for, right? Because even the most healthy, lush, beautiful garden has to worry about things like little bugs that are coming to eat up the crops, you know, animals, and, you know, in some gardens there's pesticides and other things that you know, are there to supposedly to help the garden, but even those things can be a threat to the garden. See, now, number one, let me just say that I personally don't want my garden to have any trash in it. Trash, meaning stuff that doesn't belong there. Random old thoughts, random old influences, random old people speaking into my life and bringing stuff into my life, right? I used to let every old raggedy person influence me, y'all. And thank God that he's done wonders on my self-esteem, on my thoughts about myself, how I carry myself. So I don't let just anybody influence me. And that's what you need to be careful about. Who are these influences? Who's speaking over your life? Who's bringing drama to your door? So that's what I would consider trash. But what about the weeds, right? Because then a garden also, you don't want the weeds coming up and choking out all of the good vegetation, right? The good plants that are there. So the weeds are what I would consider thoughts that are in your head that don't belong there, right? So these could be things that were planted when you were a kid, from something somebody said to you, from, you know, stuff you hear at work, stuff you hear in commercials, right? It's just thoughts that don't really belong, that don't have a place and don't speak to who you are and who God has called you to be, but they just spring up like a weed, right? So we have to be vigilant about those types of thoughts. And I like to say that we need to be like a gatekeeper, right? You'd be a gatekeeper at the door of this garden or of this mind, and constantly being aware. And this is more than something that I could just sum up for you right now, but you know, therapy can help you with that, and just learning about yourself, talking to God can help you with that. But that's a pretty big one. There's so much to cover there. I will say that if you struggle with like having a lot of negative thoughts from your past, or defeating thoughts from your past, there's a book that I really recommend to you, and it's called Wholeness: Winning in Life from the Inside Out, and I'll put a picture of it up here. But that book really like revolutionized the way that I think about, the way that I'm even conscious about some of the thoughts that kind of undermine or used to undermine me from thriving, and how, you know, new thoughts sometimes come up as you move forward. So you might have healed from the past, but you need to be able to know how to deal with you know, any thoughts that arise and to address those. So I love that book, and I really recommend it to you if you need help in that area. Long story short, you have to stay vigilant over your garden, right? This is your life, this is your mind, this is your you know, your family, your whatever. Like, you have to have dominion over everything that's yours, and walk in that consciousness and with that attitude and with that authority. And I know that can sometimes seem like it's easier said than done, but I will say that having a relationship with God really helps you, because in scripture we see God explaining that like we have authority, and how and why we have authority in Christ, and how we can basically get any thought that we don't want, every thought that doesn't align with what God's word says about us, that, you know, we have the authority over those words, and how to pull down those things and mental strongholds. So as you walk and grow in your relationship with God, which is why I said that is the water, that is the number one, he'll also help you to protect yourself against these pestilences. And that reminds me of another scripture that where Jesus says, I'm the vine, and basically that God is the vine dresser, and the vine dresser is almost like the gardener. And I didn't think of that when I first was working on this video, or when I first was kind of like I said, God gave me the idea for this video. So as I was taking notes about it, but toward the end, after I had put all these pieces together, I was like, oh, God is the vine dresser, God is the gardener. So even though we're the garden, and we, like I said, we have to stay vigilant about being our own kind of like gatekeeper, he's really the one who is tending to the garden and pruning the garden and trimming this little brown leaf and shaping this bush, and like working on all of these different areas and facets of your life. So you're not doing this alone. Like, he's there, he's your vine dresser, he's gonna help you. And yeah, there's also one other thing I wanted to say, which was that there's a scripture that also says that God, basically, that he assigns us to have dominion on earth. Like, this is in Genesis, when, you know, Adam and Eve are first in the Garden of Eden, and God basically says that we have dominion over the animals. This is like our land, basically. So remember that, like I said, when you're trying to come from this place of authority, this is your land, this is your garden, and you are gonna be the one who's gonna control how awesome it is. And you just need to walk in that knowledge and walk it out and do it. You can take where you are now, wherever now is, and you can start to implement some of these things that I'm saying that you need to thrive, and figure out how to get these into your life, how to adapt them the way that best suits you and your garden. Then you are going to be setting yourself up to thrive, no matter where you are and what the conditions around you are. I hope this video was really helpful to you. I hope that this really blessed you guys, and that it motivated you to start getting your garden in order, get your affairs in order. And I want to leave you with two things, which is that number one, if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be putting out more great content like this, and I hope that you guys will stick around and I'll see you soon. And number 2 is I would love if you guys would sign up for my email newsletter. Every once in a while, I'll keep you posted on, special messages that I have for you, new video releases, and other awesome, exciting stuff. So go ahead and check out that link below. You can also stay in touch with me on social media, and I'll have my handle available for you and the direct links below. And lastly, we are a community. So if you are new to my channel, we are all people who are growing together and who are women inspired to live our best lives. So I'm also creating a Facebook community where you guys will have a place to also interact more with each other, to support each other and for me to also get to know you guys better. So definitely join that community. You want to take this journey with other people and encourage each other to do better and be better and, bounce ideas off of each other and, be in communion with one another. So check that out. I hope that this video was really, life-changing for you and that it helps you to tend to your own garden. See ya.